all right. We are live here in the state of California. Yes, I bring the podcast gear with me when I travel, so things like this can happen. The magic can happen. Now, I know you guys don't know who this brother is right here, but we go way back. He was one of my college roommates and also one of my teammates on the wrestling team. You know, there ain't too many black wrestlers in the world, but me and him, we was together and going at it together as we was conquering the world, you know, step at a time. But anyways, we got Jimmy Claybrook here. Very good at his craft. The dancing world knows him by Happy Feet. Instagram tag. What's the Instagram tag?
Happy Feet JC.
Oh, I thought I kind of had it a little bit, but go look him up, man. We went through a lot of things together, and I'm very glad and happy that I'm able to have him on the podcast as one of my special guests. Because you know, when I bring a guest on, we got to bring the heat, we got to bring the fire, life lessons, growth, because we're going to go crazy with it. I'm super excited that he's here. And, tell him a little bit about yourself, Jimmy. Let the people hear you.
All right. Well, let me add one little thing he forgot. I was also one of the groomsmen in his wedding party.
Yeah, he right. I did forget that. He was at the wedding, so he close to the heart.
Yeah, he got to put some respect on the name,
Yeah, my bad.
You good. Hello, everybody. My name's Jimmy Claybrook. I'm from Sacramento, California. Like Marquise said, we was on the wrestling team at Sierra College back together. We also lived together for a good period of time. So we had a lot of adventures and a lot of life stories. Myself, after college, I pursued a dance career.
All right. Well, we're gonna keep it rolling, but yeah, like Jimmy said, he pursued the dancing career, and one of the things that I learned from Jimmy, but at first I ain't gonna lie, I thought it was kind of weird, and he know it, but everywhere we go, we be in the cafeteria, in the classroom, out in the mall, at a shopping center, this man would always be dancing. I'm like, man, how is my man got no fear, don't care about nobody looking at him, nothing. He was always out there doing his thing. He didn't care. And I learned, from my college days, like observing that, you shouldn't care about what people think about you. Action, he was always practicing, and if you can practice your craft on an every day, you're always going to continuously get better. So don't be thinking about what other people are thinking about you. Just go out and go get it, and you're going to succeed in whatever you pursue. But you shouldn't be worrying about other people and how they're judging you, because that's just America. Like, people going to judge you regardless if you doing the best or you doing the worst. You going to get judged. They going to have haters, and that's just part of life. So I love that about Jimmy here. He was always dancing. Can you tell them like a little bit about like why you started dancing, or why did you start doing that?
All right. So I want to say I started dancing when I was around like 16. I kind of liked watching people dance. It was really cool. I'm a really big Disney fan, so like watching like a Goofy movie was really cool. Where he like kind of danced for the girl. Shout out to Roxanne. That was her name, right? So like, for me, why I started dancing professionally, I kind of weighed it all out, and I looked at it like, man, I'm over here miserable working at Sonic. Don't like working here. I'm only making paycheck to paycheck. I have to always come in for 8 hours a day, work my ass off, and I'm miserable, right? I'm just miserable here, and I always had a passion for dancing. I don't know why. I just loved to dance. Like he said, I was always dancing in the cafeteria, dancing at the clubs, any type of event. And I looked at it and I said, what makes me happy? What makes me happy? Dancing makes me happy. I know that there's people out there making money doing stupidest things like playing with yo-yos. So I said, why not? Why not go for it? So I did some researching. I was talking to some people who I danced with at this studio that recruited me. They recruited me to join their little choreo crew. When I joined the choreo crew, they put me on their little pro team, started doing little school performances and whatnot, little community things, performing there. Then I branched off to try out for So You Think You Could Dance, learned about the political stuff behind dancing and whatnot. and kind of just started hitting the ground running, meeting people, going for it, saying, hey, look, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to perform here, I want to perform there. And basically, what drove it all was, hey, man, I'm a single father, I have a kid, I got to make a living. And if I ain't making a living, I ain't making food, we can't eat. So I looked at it and said, hey, man, we got to make this a profession. We got to make this money off of it. And we have to have a number. You know, I talked to my father about it. He said, hey, look, I support your dream, but you have to put a number of how much you got to make per month dancing. If you can't make that number, it's a hobby. And there's nothing wrong with having a hobby. But if you can't make it into a way where you're surviving off of it, survival is first, you know, it's not the priority for you. So I executed.
Yeah, that's facts. You know, I love it. You got to know what you want to do. You know, what is it that you're passionate about? You guys that have listened to the podcast, you already know I'm always telling y'all to pursue the passion, figure out how to do it. You know, and understand that there's always going to be bumps in the roads. Can you speak on a little bit of the struggles that you went through, you know, pursuing your dancing career, and, you know, maybe even some people saying you shouldn't do that? You know, how did you handle those circumstances when people were saying don't do that? You know, there's people that do that, but you know, it's a tough road. Go get your college degree, go get in business. You know, there's a lot of people saying that, but how did you stay on task, stay on the path to your journey of the dancing career?
Okay, so first thing I'm gonna put out there: when you're an artist, any type of art that you do, don't let anyone tell you, "Oh, be a starving artist," or, you know, do it for the art, you know, because at the end of the day, you got to get a check. And if you let someone take advantage of you and say, hey, let me get you that exposure, right? Because that's like what a lot of these like people try and do. Oh, we can get you some exposure. It's just their way of trying to like pimp you out of your money.
Yeah, no, that's
you know?
facts. Yeah.
So I had to learn that real quick, because people will not try and pay you, especially when you're up and coming, young, don't really know too much about things. And then once you start really getting bigger and doing bigger jobs, you know, you got to pay attention to the contracts you sign. A lot of people don't realize, like, I don't care how famous you are. I'm not famous myself, you know, but I've done a lot of work in this industry. And if you ain't hitting your P's and Q's with that contract, man, they won't pay you. So,
yeah,
you know, that's the first thing. And then, you know, as you're coming up in the game, you know, you're not making a whole lot of money. You know, you're not making a whole lot of money unless you're one of the lucky ones who get those little contract deals. But a cool thing to always keep a positive mindset, because you'll get that money. You know, I could go outside in the street and go street perform, and I would make what I would make in a day working a minimum wage job. So I always knew, hey, I can always make money doing what I'm doing.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just got to speak on this real quick, because I love what you said when you said I made as much money street performing in a day than I would at a minimum wage job. Okay, so like I was saying, sorry we had a little technical difficulties, but we back in it, okay? So your worth, you got to know your worth. And like I said, $20 an hour, you know, you probably worth way more than that, right? And so like Jimmy was saying, he realized at a young age that he can make way more, if not equal, to what he was making in a day in maybe a couple hours, 5-6 hours, right? And so instead of working 8 hours,
take me 2 hours.
only 2 hours. And so even, you know, what I do in my profession, working at TSA at the airport, I don't like speaking on it much, but, you know, I start realizing that, am I just worth this much an hour? How much are they making off of me, right? And so when you guys have realization of, you know, you can make way more money than a minimum wage job in less time. And like Jimmy said, having that realization, I guarantee that helped drive him to continue to do what he was doing.
I mean, like, because it gives you that freedom. And, like, honestly, like, I'm going to get a little political right now. To me, minimum wage is the new slavery. Like,
facts.
You know, it doesn't set you up to survive. You can't survive off of minimum wage. You can't survive off of working a standard minimum wage job. If you work a minimum wage job, you can't even afford a room in Sacramento no anymore. Uh, it just what it is. I mean, and look at a lot of these people out here have kids, so they can't really afford it. Uh, and it's funny because a lot of people when they ask me, "Oh, you're a dancer. Well, how do you make money?" And I'm like, I go to work.
Yeah.
It's simple, I get booked to do little gigs here and there. I teach dance. A lot of odd jobs, a lot of funny things, a lot of funny stories from dancing. I would say, you have a lot of negative people in there trying to like tell you, "Oh, don't do it. It's probably too hard," And a lot of people don't realize it really isn't hard. It's just, hey, you go out, you be consistent, you go for it. You set your goals up, you line them up, and you just execute, execute, execute. And that's in anything that you do. I mean, we come from a wrestling background. If you wasn't out there training, you're gonna get your butt kicked. If you ain't out there in that match ready to execute your shot, they're gonna stop your shot.
Yeah, no, that's facts. And wrestling, it's all on you. It's same with your career field and what you do. It's really up to you to really seek your dreams and get uncomfortable in a comfortable zone. You're just like, "Oh, I'm making this money, I'm able to pay bills," but are you able to live? It's a tough world out here, and you got to realize that at a young age. Transitioning back to wrestling, it's mano y mano.
Mm-hmm.
If you get your tail whooped, that's your fault. You got to go back to the drawing board. And a big thing that me and Jimmy wanted to discuss here on this podcast is what helps you with more growth, winning or losing. Mm-hmm. What helps you with more growth, winning or losing? Comment on that, Jimmy. Come on, man.
I mean, like, honestly, I done got my butt kicked a lot in life, on the mat, in the dance world, and every time I lost, there was something I learned from losing that made me a lot better. So I feel like if you take losses, right, like you take loss in money, like you lose money, you gonna know who your real friends are, right? You take a loss in a sport, you're gonna know who's gonna be there to be like, "Hey, you had that match in the bag. You was gonna win that match, but guess what you did wrong? You went like this, and you showed him what you were doing, and he was able to counter." People who clown you when you lose, they ain't the people for you. They just want to see you fall, right? And for me, I remember one time I was out and about at a party with my friends, and somebody snaked me one time. I ain't gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
I got knocked out. Blindside hit, right? Wouldn't happen on a regular day. But, but the one person who's supposed to have my back in that situation was laughing about it the most, talking the most crap about it. And that's when people like that are toxic, and you can't have that in your life. You can't have these type of people. So when you're losing, you're gonna know who's really there for you, and that's when you're gonna have the most growth, and that's when you're gonna have the chance to succeed. Because when you lose, people say, "Oh man, you hit rock bottom, you can go up." Nah, there's a bottom past that bottom that you've reached, right? So once you hit rock bottom, you can keep going down.
Yeah.
You can keep digging. There ain't no stopping with when you digging. Yeah. You can keep going down. I don't care what anybody say. It's when you choose to say, "All right, I gotta climb up. I gotta improve. What did I do wrong when I lost? Did I train hard enough? Did I prepare?" I tell people in the dance world, everybody can do what I can do. Getting jobs as a dancer is like very, very tough, because when you go into audition, there's 10 other dancers that can do what I can do. How do I stand out? How do I beat these guys for the job? A lot of it wasn't even really the dancing that got me the job. It was just me asking the right questions, right?
That's facts.
I asked the right questions. I know a guy came out there, did 100 flares and windmills and head spins all day long, and they were just like, boom, boom, boom. And all they wanted was me to do a handstand, and I got the job over them, $500.
Know how to realize your audience and what do they want, just like a resume. You should create your resume around the job that you're trying to get, correct? Right? And so we got to have these realizations too, because losses, that they come in the sport of wrestling, but they come in life, right? But everybody loves an underdog story. Come on, that's American dream. Being down from the bottom and taking out somebody at the top. They didn't even know you was coming. So, I'll speak a little story on myself, right? My freshman year in wrestling at high school, they was sleeping on me. They had me low in the rankings, right? They was like, this is just a freshman, he took some L's, blah, blah, blah. I came up short. I took fourth, right? I'm like, I'm a freshman. I took fourth in state. That's still a big thing.
Big accomplishment.
Sleeping on me. They still sleeping on me. I went sophomore year unranked. Got all these people over me, right? Now, me and my dad in the corner cooking up in the room just like, oh, they sleeping on you. Yeah, that's where we want to be, because now you don't got no target on your back.
Right.
When people don't think you're supposed to do great, and you go out and there and do great, it shocks the world.
It does.
Right? And it's a beautiful story. But let me tell you, sophomore year, I was peaking. I had swimming class. My endurance was crazy, right? I was going to practice. I was practicing after practice. I was working my ass off. Excuse the language. I was training hard. I was
gonna learn today.
I was running every night. I knew that they was sleeping on me. My dad was fueling me, saying, "Hey, they sleeping on you. Let's wake them up." Right? I get to the semifinals of the state meet. I'm wrestling a senior. He's strong. I'm like, but hey, they was sleeping on me. I got to get past this one. I beat him by 1 point. I'm like, ooh, I'm in the finals. This is where I've been dreaming about this, right? They've been sleeping on me. I'm unranked. They've been talking mess. I'm a black man in the sport of wrestling in the state of Washington. Ain't too many state champs black in the state of Washington. That's facts. There was probably one before me, and that was my brother, right? So I get to the finals. I'm juiced. I'm relaxed, man, because I'm like, this is where I want to be. This is where I want to be, Jimmy. And it's like, I got to execute. The hardest part was the semis, getting to that finals, because my track record's pretty good. Once I get into the finals, I usually do what I need to do. But so if I fall off, sometimes I'm like, dang, I didn't get to the finals. If you first, you last. God damn, right?
Right.
Moral of the story, guys, I went and took that state title. Tech my guy. Second round, 17-2. Monstrous. Ain't nobody but that story right there was phenomenal, right? But right then, I became a winner. And so now I transitioned to somebody that was getting slept on to now I got a big target on my back. I got to work harder than I was working, because now they're trying to take me out. The more you win, the more you got a target on your back to say, we got to respect this dude because he raw, look what he done. But really, there's other people that are underdogs too that want to take me off my top title, right? They want to say, if I beat him, I basically got a state title, right? He won state. I beat him.
Yeah.
Right? And so just like life, people sometimes, they don't like to see you winning. And so losing, in my perspective, can be great to help you grow to win in life. And you learn more lessons. But when you winning, you got to put in harder work.
Yeah.
You top CEO in the business world, how you stay there. You got to put in that work.
Yeah.
Right?
When you're talking about being like the underdog and no one knowing who you are, that was one of the coolest things for me as a dancer, because I didn't grow up in the dance scene. Like, I came into the dance scene as an adult, right? A lot of these popular dancers that you see, like they grew up dancing. They grew up in the dance scene, in the battle world, and all kinds of things like that. It's crazy, right? So like whenever I go out and I go do performances and whatnot, and I meet other dancers, a lot of people will be like, man, where you from? Like, asking me all these questions like, oh, man, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, I'm from Sacramento. Yeah, I'm me, And it's really funny because a lot of people have this stigma like, oh, if you're not famous and popular, you're not going to make it.
Yeah,
and,
who are you?
and it's like, yo, like, I be doing stuff that a lot of these, like, amazing dancers be doing, but I don't get the clout because I'm not really out there like that. I move a little different, but
built different.
What's really funny too? I have this friend. His name's Timothy Joseph. He goes by Blackflip now. That's
Shout
his
out
dance.
to Backflip if you're watching this.
He's a really great, amazing dancer. It's really funny because like he's gone viral on like TikTok.
Yep.
Crazy. And he is an amazing dancer, right? Like, to me, anyone who I dance with, man, I love dancing with dancers. I love seeing what they can do. They're all amazing to me. Like, me, honestly, I think I suck at dancing. But that's just my own brain telling me that, right? You know, because your biggest critic is yourself. When you're looking in the mirror, that's what you see. So this guy, I remember my first time ever performing with this guy. This man jumped in the air, landed on his back, popped up, jumped again.
We're going to have to show y'all a video of this.
Landed on his back, did it again. Jumped up, landed on his back, he did it again.
Yeah.
Started spinning on his head. Did like 3 or 4 backflips, did some more crazy moves, and I just came out right after him. Like, oh, man.
How do you follow up that?
I'm like, I got to go after him.
Yeah, we all been there.
Like, oh, damn. Right? But I didn't care because I wasn't in competition with him. I was in competition with myself. And even though my moves weren't as flashy and stuff like that, I had a different style. So people liked the moves that I did. And I stuck to my own personality. I didn't try and do what he did. You know, I didn't try and be like, oh, let me jump and land on my back now. I done it one time before. It didn't end well for me. Yeah. But that's a different story. But yeah, you know, Tim, he's a really great example too, because like he's one of those type of people where people see him. He street performs a lot. That guy street performs like that's his job now. Yeah. He's done crazy things. He's toured around the entire world. He's been around the whole world dancing, doing things with a whole bunch of stuff. And it's really cool because I see him winning all the time. He's winning. He may not be the picture of a winner because when people see him, they think he's homeless because of the way he dresses and whatnot. But, you know, that guy, he's a really smart guy. Like, his credit score is amazing.
Don't judge a book by its cover,
you know?
I'm telling you.
And he makes a lot of money. And, you know, he's a perfect example of someone who's winning and he's under the radar and he's doing him. You know, he doesn't have a target on his back. But when he goes out there and he goes and he battles and whatnot, does whatever, the crowd is looking at him like, oh, dang, who is this guy?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, so let's channel back to you, Jimmy, though, because we got some stories. You know, we went through some things together. You know, one thing that I admire about Jimmy is sometimes people look at him and they underestimate.
Yes.
Jimmy, he funny looking cat, you know, but he do his thing, still handsome. And you know, I remember we in wrestling practice, right? You know, once again, everybody in the room think they could just dog Jimmy because you know he's skinny, light skin. You know, just long, you know. So I'm in there. We in practice. We used to do this thing where we would run around the circle, and you have somebody in the middle, and then we'd be like, all right, somebody go out there, boom, right? And so I remember this cat, Demay. So shout out to Demay if you ever listen to it. He probably ain't, but anyways.
I actually ran into him not too long ago.
Yeah. Okay. So my man Demay, he had took a few people down, right? And then they call out Jimmy in the middle, and I'm like, ooh, Jimmy about to shock him. Jimmy about to shock him because people be sleeping on Jimmy. My man Jimmy hit Demay with a head in the chest double. So if you guys don't know, 2 hands behind the legs, head goes into the chest fast, drove him to his back for the takedown. He was mad. He's mad. He got out there. I was clapping in my head. I was like, ooh, so you gotta stop sleeping on my man. I've seen so many times, even in the dance world, where somebody going out there going crazy, and then Jimmy kind of come out there. He do this thing where he put his hand on his back and act like he an old man.
That's my old man walk.
You know, he do the old man walk and go out there, and then he killing people. So, you know, I like to say to y'all that are listening, be the underdog. Let people underestimate you. Don't show your cards, right? Be the smartest one in the room, but they don't know. You know, be a face in the courtroom where they just judging you because you look a certain way, but then you go out there and you got your facts straight. And you kill him, right? Catch him slipping. In the wrestling world, we call it put him to sleep. We like to put people to sleep, you know, hypnotize them, and then we attack. And so in the actuality of the world, you know, don't always put your emotions on your sleeve. Don't let people know what you got, but always surprise them and be like, man, this guy, I should stop judging people by the cover that I see. You know, because we look at people, look at their skin color, we stereotype them. Right, we look at, you know, look at the environment they're in. He can't have no money. He can't afford this car. No way he can get this house. Sometimes you can be rich. Nobody know how long your pockets is. And then they say, you can't afford this. Okay, well, I'm not only going to buy this house, but I need that watch. Fast and Furious, remember that? Right? I'm going to need the rest of that stuff.
You
So
said my pockets ain't empty.
yeah, they pockets ain't empty. So, we can't judge a book by its cover and, always try to be the underdog and also, let them underestimate you. Because that's when you just two-piece combo them with the left hand.
Doing that Moo special, that two-piece.
Yeah, that Moo special. I remember once again, I got another story because, I'm not saying go out there and ask for problems from nobody because sometimes
never.
people come ask for the problems themselves.
Violence is never the answer.
Well, but what we was at Denny's, right? We was at Denny's, minding our own business. We was after the club, having a good time. We just, getting our meals, eating it up. And some person just, what was he saying, Jim? He was just talking mess for no reason.
He's just looking at us crazy.
No reason. And he was basically like, well, step outside then, right? So we go outside.
We try to avoid going outside. Too.
Yeah, we did. But sometimes problems come to people. He took the swing at him. Jimmy hit him with the left. Because most people, once again, you guys that are watching, try to learn to be ambidextrous because you never know when some shit's going to come in handy. Excuse my language again. Where you're going to have to use the other hand because most people are right side dominant. That's the world we live in. All sports learn to do things left and right side. Anyways, he caught him with the left. He was already dazed. Then he caught him with the right. He down for the count. Brother came in. They finished him off. He didn't need the brother to come in, but it was okay. He just had to be a part of it. But
you know what's crazy, though? A sidetrack on that story.
Okay.
You're talking about being ambidextrous. So I don't want to cut you off on that story.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But like,
we rolling.
So it's really key to let you guys know something. Like, we can do everything we do with both sides, both ways. I grew up ambidextrous. Like, my dad hated it, and it's a funny story because I'm left-handed right now. Like, primarily left-hand dominant because when I was in kindergarten, I would do this thing where I would write like this with one hand, and then as I got to the middle of the paper, I would take it and I'd switch to the other hand and keep writing. Hand it off to the left hand, right, halfway, right. But I wrote really slow. And my dad, he got irritated. He was just like, stop doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? And then he thought to himself, it'd be really cool to have a kid that's left-handed, right? Because not too many people are left-handed. So he bought my golf clubs left-handed, my glove when we play catch, everything that he had me doing, he had me do it with my left hand. Now, when I'm playing with like my brother or everything like that, I would do stuff like with my right hand instead, but it caused me to do both things. So like if I box or anything like that, I do both sides. I don't just do southpaw. But it's really funny because like I was taught, that's how I was raised when I would box. So I boxed as a southpaw. I didn't, but I always knew how to do both sides because everyone else in my family was right-handed.
Yeah.
So when you're doing things right, it keeps you more on your feet when you can do things to both sides. Like I can do flips on both sides, right? I can do different types of dancing moves that, hey, people can only do one side on it. I can do both sides. And it gives you the opportunity to use your body a lot better. I remember, like, wrestling, right? Some people only shoot on one side, right? But it's like if you cut yourself off to the opportunity to be able to attack from both sides, they're going to figure you out and they're going to lock you down. And what can you do now? You know what I mean? So I only say this because people like to only do things one way, and there's more ways to do certain type of things.
Yeah,
you know?
no, I agree. I'm big on perspectives, right? There's always more than one way to cut an orange. I had learned big time doing puzzles. Like I remember I'll do puzzles, and I think I mentioned this before, but I gotta drop it in there again. But I would look at a puzzle as I'm putting it together. So many times I was like, some pieces are gone. There's some pieces that are gone. I've been looking at this for hours. Yeah. And then what I would do is sometimes the piece would be right next to me, but you got to turn it. Maybe you got to go to the other side of the puzzle. Maybe get the left side, right side, or front side here, or the back side. And so it was like I learned angles, different perspectives. I had to approach the puzzle in multiple different ways. And when I started to learn about that part of life, You know, just with the puzzle aspect, I translated it to life. And I said, okay, all right, how can I solve my car starting up a little bit better? And I remember back in the day when me and Jimmy were together, at the living together, sorry. He was telling me, he's like, Marquise, all you gotta do is get this little foil here, put it on the top of your battery, then put your cap back on and watch the car start. And I'm like, damn, all I thought was just jump the car. But then he taught me that put the foil, it's a good conductor, and that can help jump your car as well. So once again, there's so many perspectives on how to grow. You know, you can learn how to grow from dancing. You can learn how to grow from wrestling. But every aspect of life, there's always a lesson. Whatever you do, you know, so always learn how to grow in the direction that you want to, right? There's so many paths.
It takes you back to that losing aspect, too.
Yeah.
When you're winning, you know, you got the ego behind it, you know?
100%.
And having confidence is always good, right? Because you need that confidence to sometimes execute.
Yep.
You know, like, I remember I'd be in a wrestling match, and I would shoot a double leg, man. And if a kid could stop my double leg, bro, I was like, oh, man.
Confidence kind of dropped a little bit.
I'm ass whooped.
Yeah.
I just look at my dad, and he look at me like, keep going. Shoot again.
Yeah.
And I never understood why he would tell me to shoot again, because I was always like, man, he stopped my shot.
Mm-hmm.
I can't take him down.
Yeah.
Like, I'm fresh.
Yeah.
The match just started.
Yeah.
But he's fresh, too. Now we got a battle of wills.
Yeah.
Am I gonna break before he break? Because I'm shooting fire at him right now.
Yeah.
He shoot. We gonna find out.
That's
So
when you develop that heart.
I would shoot again.
Yeah.
I got closer this time.
Yeah.
Shoot again. Again. He had me shooting at least 10 to 15 shots. If they were stopping my shots, whether or not they were stopping them, by the first period, and these are 2-minute periods, I'm shooting at least 15 shots.
Yeah.
And we, after that first round, we gonna know if I'm winning this match or not.
Yeah.
You know, that was it. Hey man, if you ain't shooting at least 15 shots, I know you ain't trying to win.
Yeah.
He would look me in my eyes and tell me that, and that's kind of like how I am, as a dancer.
Persistent.
If I'm not trying to go out there and do 10 performances a week, I'm not trying to eat.
Yeah. No,
You
facts. Facts. If you're not living the way that you want to live, you're not doing enough.
Yeah.
I tell myself that all the time. I'm like, man, I ain't where I want to be right now, or I ain't making the money that I want to make, or I want to live this testimony so I can give it back to people. And then I'll have days where I'm like, man, I need to do more.
Yeah.
I'm not grinding hard enough. And that's what you got to look at your life as. Sometimes you're not where you want to be because you're not grinding hard enough. You're not ready to be where you want to be because you ain't putting in the work to get there.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody want to be a beast, but nobody want to do what beasts do.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, like, and I hear people all the time. Like, you know, they go to the gym. People go to the gym because they want to lose weight.
Yeah.
And then they don't go to the gym. Right? And then they keep paying for a membership. I used to work at a gym called Planet Fitness. I've worked at a few gyms, actually. Funny thing, I actually done fitness classes to, you know, keep people in shape. You know, come work out with your boy. But you know, because people see me and they think, oh man, this guy's just skinny, right? You know, I get underestimated all the time, like he was saying. Like people look at me and they don't realize what I have to offer.
Nope.
You know, they cancel me out before they even get to know me. But it's really funny because, like, I would see people's accounts when I sign them up and stuff like that to go to the gym. They check in and things like that. And it'd be like, last time they checked in, 90 days ago. Oh, dang. You ain't been here for a while.
Yeah.
I know. I got to get going back in again. Well, come back tomorrow. Okay, I'll try. Hey, come back tomorrow. Get them to come back tomorrow. They came back tomorrow. Hey, look, I'm here.
Yeah.
Good, you're here. All right, don't come tomorrow. Come Friday. I work Friday. But shouldn't I come tomorrow? You're getting back into it. You ain't been here for a while. You're gonna burn yourself out.
Yeah.
You know, do the work, be consistent, but set boundaries to that.
Be realistic.
That too, be realistic. Don't just sit here and go to the gym for a week straight, 7 days, 3 hours a day, go out there hitting chest. All right, tomorrow legs. All right, arms. Right? Don't do all that, because then you're gonna burn yourself out. You know, set realistic ideas and execute that. You know, they came back Friday. Then they came back next week. They did 3 days. A couple weeks down the road, they did 5, 4, you know, but they started consistently coming. 6 months down the road, they're looking a lot better.
Yeah.
They didn't lose hella weight. They didn't like, oh man, they look like a whole new person. They just, you could see it in their face that they were a little bit more happier with whatever demons they were fighting, right? And yeah, they slimmed a tiny bit down, right? You could start seeing, hey, they're exercising. You know what I mean? I met a girl one time. She was 280 pounds. 280 pounds. If you look at her today, she's like 125. I think she's pregnant right now, so she's not probably 125. But like that was like her lowest that she got down to, and she was really like fit. And you know, she looked at her. She told me, you know, she looked at herself in the mirror and she did not like how she looked, and she wanted to lose all that weight, you know, and she did it, you know. And that girl goes to the gym. She inspired me to start working out when I would see her working.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes you gotta feed off of people, their energy. You know, people say, oh, there's energy that you feed off of. So when I would see her posting videos of her just at the gym going, I was like, dang, I want to work out.
Yeah.
You know, and I hate working out.
Yeah.
Right, but I do it. I work out all the time. And that's why when people, they underestimate me, like growing up, I was in special ed classes. You know, I got called RSP boy. You know, that killed my confidence of wanting to educate myself. I got called all kinds of things, right? But it is what it is. And people would see me, I was small. I was really small. I've always been small. I mean, I know people see me now, oh, you kind of big, you know. A lot of people don't, but but like, it was one thing because I was always small as a kid, so people would try and pick on me, and I don't know, kids would want to fight me just for no reason. You know, I didn't dress too good. I still don't dress too good, but you know, sometimes I have my days when I step out. You know, you know, show them what I really working with.
Yeah. Once again, don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah,
and don't be impressed when I come out looking how I'm looking.
Right. So like, it's funny because, you know, I grew up with people just putting me down, making me feel like I couldn't do anything. And it was really, it really grinded into me where it was like, man, I'm not going to be smart enough to do this stuff. You know, I'm not going to be strong enough to do this stuff. But I remember the first time a kid hit me in the face. Didn't hit me for no real reason, right? Just thought it would be cool to punch me. But that was the first day that kid learned, don't put your hands on people. Mm-hmm. You know, because I had to kick his butt, you know. And it kind of got to a point where, you know, this kid underestimated what I could do because he didn't realize, you know, my father has had us boxing since we were 5, you know, and I've been wrestling since I was in the 5th grade. Yeah. So if a kid tries to fight me, even though I don't look the part, I have the techniques. I know how to do this stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
It still always comes back to, I know I said it quite a few times, but don't judge a book by its cover. Don't be going out there trying to test people. You know, people could be having bad days. You don't know what somebody's capable of doing. You have no idea.
So
be careful who you talk to and what you say to people. I always have to say, think before you speak and be careful of your actions because they have reactions, right?
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I remember when we were living in college, in our college days, you know, we didn't make a lot of money. This is before I started dancing and stuff too.
The struggle was real.
The struggle was real, you know. And I ain't gonna lie, I ain't gonna put us out there too much because
Just keep. They don't need to know everything.
they don't even know everything. But for me, I went to jail for a weekend.
Ooh.
I did. I'm not ashamed to say it because I made a mistake and I learned from that mistake.
Life lessons.
I grew from it. I used to, take things that I shouldn't be taking. But, me going to jail one time, it taught me, hey, don't be doing this. It's not worth it. Because that one little incident almost caused me my freedom, right? It almost cost me missing the birth of my child, right? And it put me in the hole of owing money for doing this, right? And it was one little action, one little thing. I didn't even take a whole lot, right? It's something where when I tell people what I did, they're like, "Really?" And it's one little thing, because I got used to doing it so much where it was like, oh, whatever, boom, let's go, right? But it cost me a real reality check where it was like, dude, we can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
We got to figure it out, and it creates that mindset of, hey, we can never go back to this. And I want to say that's probably one of my lowest points in my life when I was just sitting in there just like, what did I do?
Yeah. I just want to give a little bit perspective too, because I ain't gonna lie, y'all, I was with him when this stuff happened. And fortunately I didn't get caught up as well, but as growth, I realized if I could go back there, I probably would have been like, man, because as I went back to that story and remembered everything, I saw so many signs that said, man, Jimmy shouldn't be doing this. I remember one sign, because always recognize signs, because the universe will always try to give you hints on what you shouldn't be doing or what you should do. You just got to be able to recognize them. And I remember, once again, this wasn't a good thing that we was doing, but we said, if we see somebody that we know working there, we can't do this. Right?
Yeah.
And I remember there was other signs too, but I remember we saw somebody working there and we continued to pursue what we was doing. Yeah. But right then and there, we should have been like, this is a sign. We got to drop everything and let's just go.
Yeah, we almost did too.
Yeah. And so, but unfortunately, that's not what would happen. And I look at it as like, damn, I was an accomplice and I wasn't even telling Jimmy this is something that he shouldn't be doing. Growing up in the family that I grew up in, black man in America, black men in America, this is something that we shouldn't be doing because they're going to lay the hammer on us harder than anybody else.
Yeah.
And so growing from that and realizing, like, I look at it as a sign myself that, okay, Marquise, you definitely shouldn't be doing this because one of your best friends, he got caught up. Yeah. And so it had a big impact on me as well, just as much as him. Obviously, his was a little harder than mine, but we grew from this.
He had the Scared Straight program through me.
Yes, I did. I said, I realized the sign, and I am not going to do that. All right?
It works, Pilf. It does work.
So I just want to touch on this, too, you guys, that, even if you don't experience something and it's not happening to you and somebody else experiences it, you can learn from that. So your life lessons don't always have to come from you and your experiences. They can come from other people to say, hey, don't do this because this is what happened to me. I always like to say good parents will help guide you in a direction to not make the mistakes that they did. Right? But some mistakes are meant to be made so you can understand why you shouldn't do them. Like I always give the example to my wrestlers because I coach, when I was a kid, I learned that I shouldn't put no forks in the socket. Right? My dad instantly slapped my hand.
I seen my little cousin go through this.
Yeah, right? So we all have these things that be like, okay, why shouldn't I do that? I could have died. Right? I could have got electrocuted because, the silver from the fork going into a socket, electrical current, boom, goes through my system. I might not be here today. So, some lessons you don't want to go through because they can be life-threatening. But you also have a parental figure or somebody in your life that maybe they seen something or their parents did that to them. And so you learn through other people to help you not make the same mistakes. But we always got to go through certain things to help us grow. So always have these realizations of not only do you have to have your experiences, but you have to learn from other people as well. That's why we here.
You do.
Yeah. Teamwork makes the dream work.
It does. Your team. One thing cool too about doing things is it's really dope if you have a team.
Yeah.
I remember when me like dancing, like I didn't really grow up in the dance scene, right? So like people don't realize like, I didn't have a team. When I wrestled, I had a team. And like when we went to Sierra, like we had probably one of the dopest teams there was when we went there.
Yeah.
I won't argue and say, oh, we were the best team, but I will say that we had probably one of the craziest experiences from this team because we all pushed ourselves to do better, work harder. And being a dancer, I take a lot of my morals that I use to push myself come from wrestling. And it's really dope because wrestling is an individual sport, right? But you get a lot of drive from your team that you're on, right? And sometimes you just need that one person on your team to lead by example and go out there and pin the first guy, and you just see that and just be like, okay, I'm about to go do that.
Yeah, you get hyped. I like to call it a synchronicity. We see it all the time in baseball. We catch fire, right? And we see somebody that's doing well, and being a part of a team, you want to do well too. If you guys wrestle, or know anything about Penn State, they're one of the best college teams in college. And like if somebody lose on that squad, they like, damn, you the only one that lost. Come on, we fired. We win in all these tournaments. You got to pick it up. Yeah. And so being around people, that are they're driven and they're working hard and they're grinding, you gravitate towards that. You develop these habits just like them. So I always tell kids, you're on this team. Maybe they're not that great. Maybe you the shiner out of everybody. But then you come to a great wrestling club where everybody's shining. We all dogs, right? And maybe you're the smaller dog. And you're like, man, these people are so good. And I always tell these kids, would you rather be on a losing team where you the shiner or be around a bunch of dogs where you become that dog too? Yeah. And so your environment can shape you to be a better version of you. Your friends shape who you are as well. The people that are around you, the more they're growing, the more you growing. And don't be around people that ain't helping you out. If they hating on you, they driving you down, you got to kick them out, kick them to the curb. Yeah, toxic people, they not for us.
They're not. And that kind of goes to the development of when you're winning and when you're losing and stuff too. Because like, really and truly, like, I've been around so many dope dancers, right? And if you really let someone gravitate you away from what you're doing, you can fall into this like place where you're just like, bro, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
Right. And it takes away from you wanting to get better. Right. I know iron sharpens iron. So when you're around an environment where people are striving for greatness, you're gonna be great if you're matching their energy.
Yeah. Facts.
One of my friends, he does insurance. Shout out to Bryden. Don't forget to get the insurance through. I gotta shout my people out.
No, he ain't paying us. We cut that off. No, I'm kidding.
So, shout out to my friend Bryden. That guy, he's a hard worker, right? On the mat. I mean, we grew up. I remember the first time I met this guy. I didn't know who he was, right? And this is my sophomore year in high school. I was wrestling in Sawa. Sawa is basically Sacramento Area Wrestling Association. Shout out to Coach Don. Right? So it's funny because I didn't know who he was. And this younger kid who wrestled with us, he was like, hey, that kid is good. And I was like, so?
Yeah, what that mean?
What that mean? I'm good too. What's up? Like, don't tell me that. He said, hey, no, he's like really good. And I was like, man. Yeah. And these were my words, right? I was like, man, I'm about to beat his ass. Yeah. Start of the match, man. I'm like, I'm feeling myself because I just beat this other kid who made state and stuff, right? And and we shake hands, start the match, start moving. This kid starts going. I go in, and like when you feeling somebody out on a match, right? You just kind of feel them out. You ain't really ready to execute, but you want to feel them out. That was my first mistake. I just did a shot to fill it out. This nigga grabbed me, and I was like, oh. I looked at my dad. He looked at me. Said, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
It was so fast. And then he was like, it's all right. Regroup. All right. Like, okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for him.
Yeah.
I came in again trying to, get him going. Oh, match is over. I ain't gonna lie. He whooped my ass, man. Bryden messed me up. And then I don't know what happened, but like literally 2 days later, he's in my wrestling room, and we're practicing together, me and him, and it been like that since all throughout high school. His dad, crazy workouts, man. He would push you to the end of it, man. Like I remember first time having to work out with him because we went to wrestling practice, and then after wrestling practice, he's like, "All right, we're going to the gym." Okay, all right, cool. Start running. He's like, "All right." I looked over at Bryden. I was like, "Hey, man, how long we running for?" 30 minutes. All right, and we done after that? No. What you mean, nah? Yeah. This is the warm up. This is the warm up. Bro, we just had wrestling practice. We just went and trained for heck long, and now we at the gym and we running. And then I remember it was so funny because we did these crazy ass workouts at Cal Fit, and Cal Fit had a pool, but it was outside. He's like, "All right, y'all, let's go swim some laps." I looked at my dad and I was like, "Hey, man, it's raining hard." Like, sometimes in Sacramento, it rains really hard out here sometimes. Like, I don't know how it is in Washington. I know it probably rains pretty bad out there.
It do.
But, like, Sacramento, it has its days, and it was raining. It was storming that day. And I just remember his dad saying, "Yep, let's go out there and go swim." And we just looked at them like, nah, we going home.
Yeah. There's definitely levels to training, and some people, they work real hard, they train a lot. Some people can get burnt out from training too hard. Yeah. But the people that really put in that extra work, I always, as a coach, I tell kids all the time. I have a kid tell me, "Coach, I've been doing 2 practices, coming to your practice, and I'm kind of sore, I'm kind of hurt." And I'm like, "Okay, that's good. Understand this. You're putting in extra work, probably more than anybody on your team.
Right.
So that means you're probably going to excel farther than people on your team, and you're going to get better at a faster rate than other people. Because some kids that aren't that good, once they start putting in the extra work, they're going to notice faster. Why? Because they ain't that good. Yeah. Right? And then if you're around people that are way better than you, you're going to realize, oh, I got to step it up. That's why I always say be around people that are a lot better than you. You're either going to climb to them or they're going to kick you out.
Right.
That's just how it's going to be. And so at the end of the day, not everybody is built to be working super, super hard. And like Jimmy said earlier, sometimes you got to take it day by day. Yeah. Maybe 3 days a week you can do two practices. Maybe you get up to 4 and you're like, "Oh, I'm in shape now. I can push it a little bit harder." But you got to take your steps to get there. You can't just be like, "Oh, I'm going to start training with Jordan Burroughs tomorrow."
Yeah,
if you guys don't know Jordan Burroughs, world champion, gold medalist, Olympic, he high level. So, but we got to understand our lane. Mm-hmm. Stay in our lane until we ready to migrate to the next one.
Right.
And that is taking those progressive steps in the direction to the growth that we want to achieve, whatever it is that we want to conquer. Take your steps there, train a little bit, don't overdo it, but keep grinding, keep going. Don't be satisfied.
Let me add to that. Okay, so because I teach dance, a lot of kids always ask me, how often should I dance? Like, how much, like, how often? And I tell them, I say, look, for me, I treated dance like a full-time job because that's how I made my money, right? And I looked at it and I said, a job wants you to work 8 hours, right? 8 hours to be good at the job, to do the job. And you get compensated for that 8 hours. Train for 8 hours a day. That's what I told. That's how often I would train. I would train 8 hours a day.
'Cause that's your job.
You know, that's what I did. I trained 8 hours a day. And you know, and I did that full time. I trained 8 hours a day. That was rehearsals, practicing my own craft for my own techniques, learning new styles of dance. I can do a lot of different styles of dancing. I primarily only perform in a few styles, but I can do a lot of styles of dance, right?
Yeah, be diverse.
And I'm a very diverse dancer, you know. So 8 hours a day, and that's just to get you there, right? What you put in past that is your own, right? That's your own little, hey, I can't stop, you know, and it's okay if you can't stop. You can train all day long, all night long, do that. But what I tell people, I say, when they're paying for the dancing, you know, they're only paying for that 6-minute performance. When you're wrestling, they're only paying for that 6-minute performance, that 6-minute match, right? You're paying for that 6-minute match. You're paying for that 2-minute performance because you put in however long your practices were, plus however long you ran for, plus for however long you worked towards to put in for that 6 minutes. You get 6 minutes to show what you can do. So however hard you put in the work to showcase your 6 minutes, right? I do a 6-minute dance performance, but behind that 6-minute dance performance, I had 4 hours of rehearsal. Plus, they're going to want to see some cool ass flips. It took me years to get these flips. That's years of training to get these flips. You know, so remember, it takes a lot of work to do this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it takes a lot of work to win because everyone can do what we can do. When people ask me, how long does it take to learn how to do a backflip? I tell people, well, honestly, it takes 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It takes 10 minutes to learn how to do a backflip. It's all mental here. You're going to mentally tell yourself you can do it, or you're going to mentally tell yourself you can't do it. They'll be like, but like physically, what do I need? I said, I can show you a video of some pretty hefty boys, some BBVs, big body vegetarian. Shout out to Moo Moo.
Yeah, BBV.
You know, I can show you kids. You know, I can show you old people who can do a backflip.
Yeah.
You know, doing a backflip is all mental. People think it takes physical physique to do a backflip.
You got to believe.
You just have to believe that you can do it. You can't go into it afraid. If you go in and you execute it, like I'm not saying, oh, just go here on the concrete and just do a backflip. No,
Steps.
I will give you the key movements and take you to a place where it will be the most comfortable to do it. But it will only take you 10 minutes to learn how to do this.
I'm sorry to step in. You know, what Jimmy's speaking on, you know, one, you have to believe in yourself, right? But also, I mean, sometimes it takes a good coach, a good advisor, a good guardian to help you believe in yourself. Because sometimes, let's face it, it's hard to do things on our own.
Yeah.
Like we may say, I really want to do this, and I train and I do this.
I hate being self-employed.
Right. But when we have the right type of motivation, the right type of energy that's being given to you, can do this. You can do this. You know, now you're not only doing it for yourself, but you're doing it for the fulfillment of maybe somebody else too, for your parents. You know, because sometimes it's like, oh, well, I need to get good grades. I know I need to get grades, but not only for me, but also to fulfill my parents' needs too sometimes, right? And so now you're doing it more than for yourself, but you're doing it for others too. So, but also that energy of rewards sometimes. You know, if I do what I'm supposed to do, I'm going to get that job that I want to get, right? I'm going to have achieved this goal that I want to achieve. For example, I can't remember his name, but there was this medalist that he did the javelin, took second in the Olympics, right? All he did was watch YouTube videos. He watched YouTube videos on how to train to throw the javelin properly. He would train every day.
YouTube Academy.
YouTube Academy is real. And so sometimes you don't need somebody else, but having the aid of somebody to give you that right kind of energy can help you. But being self-motivated, I think, is more powerful, because now you don't really need anybody. You out there, you grinding on your own because you know why you're doing what you're doing. Some people lose their reason why.
Yeah.
Why are you grinding? Why are you putting in this hard work? And when you get uncomfortable or you're upset with the life that you're living, you forgot why you were doing what you were doing. Or you're not even seeing what you can do. What is it that you can do? Why are you not happy? Why do you not have the finances that you want to have? And so you got to think, why don't I live the life that I want to live? It's only because you're not putting in that extra work. The 8 hours that you're putting in your job, when you're not working, you need to figure out how to have more energy after that, right? Because you need to put in another 8 hours on whatever it is that you're doing. And maybe it doesn't even have to be 8 hours, but I guarantee maybe your 2 to 4 hours working on yourself is equal to those 8 hours working at your job.
Yeah.
100%.
And you know something too? I remember so I have a son and I have nephews, right? And I'm always about, hey, protect yourself. Don't seek out violence, don't be a bully. But I always try and teach them, hey, be able to protect yourself. Because of the childhood that I grew up, I had to fight a lot because kids would just try and beat me up for no reason, right?
That underestimation factor.
Yeah, man,
It's real.
It's a real one. And bullying is real. You can't avoid them. And I told my nephew, I said, hey man, you be at the park playing basketball. Guess what's gonna happen one day? You gonna beat a kid and he ain't gonna like it.
Nope.
And he gonna put his hands on you.
There's some poor losers in the world. Quite a lot of them.
Some people can't take losses, man. It's just, it comes with it. I get that, everybody hates losing. Even if they say, oh, I'm okay with losing. No, people hate losing.
Yeah, but you got to grow from your losses.
You got to know when you really lose.
Yeah. Be a good sport.
Even if you lost, did you really lose? What did you lose? You didn't lose. You're telling yourself that you lost.
Yeah.
If you're telling yourself that you lost, then you're a loser.
Yeah.
If you're telling yourself, all right, he got me now.
Yeah. He ain't going to get me tomorrow, though.
He ain't going to get me tomorrow. And if he got me tomorrow, guess what? I'm coming back the day after tomorrow. He ain't
going to get me the next day.
Right?
You got to have that mentality, though, right?
Right. So, like, for me, I teach them to protect yourself, But I also tell them, hey, look, just because you're learning this stuff doesn't mean you're going to win. Just because you're learning that stuff doesn't mean that it's a fair fight.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a fair fight. I don't care who tells you what. There is no such thing as a fair fight. You have to make it to your ability to win. You have to make it to a playing field to where you are in control.
Yeah. And I'll always say this too, Jimmy. No matter how hard that you work, you feel like you deserve that. Winning is never promised.
Nope.
Winning don't care.
You do it for a lottery.
Yeah. You never know, because somebody could be putting in even more work than you are. Every time I ran at night preparing for tournaments, I always think, okay, I'm putting in this work because I'm trying to get an edge.
Yeah.
That's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get an edge over the competition, and I don't even know if I'm doing enough.
Yeah, man. I tell people, like, with the 8 hours, right? The 8 hours work, right? There's 24 hours in a day.
100%.
24 hours in a day. You're working 8 hours. That 8 hours, you're not going to get back.
And it's 1:30 a day.
Right? That's 1:30 a day. And what do people do the rest of the day? They sleep 8 hours.
Yeah.
So that's 2/3 of your day. So you got 1/3 of your day left. What are you doing in that 1/3? Me, I sleep probably 6 hours, 4 to 6 hours a day. Because I'm usually up late if I'm performing at like a night gig or whatever, or if I'm training at nighttime, and then I'm up early. I'm up early. People will be like, oh man, you're up late. Do you ever sleep? People ask me if I sleep. I'm like, yeah, I do sleep, and there's some days where I get to sleep for 12 hours, because, hey, man, I'm tired,
Yeah.
I do a lot of work,
Gotta recover.
But, like, you only get so much time on this planet. People don't realize, like, once you turn 18 and you're able to go off into the world, once you turn 18 and you're able to go off in the world, you only have a certain amount of time on this planet. We are from 18 to 60. A little over 40 years.
Yeah. Remember, every day ain't promised.
And every day ain't promised. I've lost cousins. I've lost friends that I'm never gonna see again. Family members that are gone. Every person that I know who's over the age of 70, they tell me my parents ain't here no more. I don't have parents anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Losing all my friends. It make me scared to grow old.
Yeah,
Cause I'm like, dang, I'm sensitive.
Yeah, that's what life will take from you too. You can grow and you can live all these years, but always know that you're gonna lose people on the way.
Yeah.
And so you gotta already accept that that's the circle of life.
So you got to cherish those relationships too. And like being a father, people be like, oh yeah, man, is it tough being a father? I tell people, the toughest thing is co-parenting. Because me and my son's mom, we're not together, and the relationship isn't a good relationship. Unfortunately, she's stuck in her ways, and I'm stuck in my ways. And
just sorry to cut you off, but I just want to say this because I was a real one, and I told Jimmy don't do it, but he still kept going. But it's okay. He's where he is now, and he's grown a lot, and he's learned a lot of lessons. Go ahead.
Yeah, he ain't the only person. So people be like, oh, you follow your heart. You're not thinking right. You have emotions, and there's no wrong or right decision in life, right? Like I should have did this, I should have did that. And I don't look at that anymore, right? I look at it, hey, what am I doing now?
Yeah.
I did this before, wiser. But what am I doing now? And people will judge you off of your past mistakes, but people don't realize if people just assume you're the same person you were yesterday, they're going to be surprised who you are today, and they're going to be blown away with who you are tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because you can prove them wrong. I remember I was a kid and I didn't think I was going to pass my classes. I thought I was dumb. I thought I was stupid. I didn't think I was smart. Like, I looked at all these kids I'm surrounded by. I was struggling to read, so I'm thinking I'm dumb. I didn't even want to try. And I remember one of my teachers, she told me, she said, people think you're dumb? I was like, yeah. She said, prove them wrong.
Yeah, that's the best thing she could have said, huh?
Just prove them wrong. You're not dumb. You're smart. Prove them wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
I did that.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons why I like working with kids, is because people put these limitations on kids and they don't realize, man, these kids can do everything that we can do.
Yeah.
Anything we can do, they can do too.
Probably better.
They can do it better because they have I tell people, if you work with from 2 to 7, 8, if you can get them that into whatever you want them doing from that age, they'll be able to do some shit that's out of this world.
Yeah, they'll excel a lot faster
because they don't have the fear behind it. People don't realize fear is a liar.
Oh,
fear will
preach it.
Fear will make you feel like, yo, I can't do it, right? I'm not good enough, right?
Doubt.
It puts that doubt in there, and people feed off of that fear. And when you feed off that fear, it brings out them insecurities. It puts you in a predicament where you don't think you're good enough. It creates those toxic relationships.
Yeah, yeah.
And me and my son's mom, when we had our relationship, she had her fears, I had my fears, and the relationship didn't work out. It's good, right? But it creates that mental fear where it can carry over into your other relationships, and when you don't have people in your life that are guiding you to the right way, because honestly, both my parents, they didn't really educate me well in the relationship department.
Yeah.
And they led by example on how not to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
And when as you live life, you start to see how other people are, and you start wondering, man, why don't I have a relationship like this?
Yeah.
And it creates these things, and then you start looking at it like, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not cute enough. Maybe I don't make enough money. Maybe I don't do this. Maybe I don't do that. And it creates those doubts. And then you just start to think, well, maybe it's just because I'm overlooked. People overlook me. People underestimate me. So maybe that's why women don't talk to me like that or whatever, right? and it is what it is. But you grow to know, hey, who cares what they think?
Yeah, just like I started this off with, you
Pro-
not caring about what people thought when you was dancing.
Prove them wrong. If they think I'm a loser, if they think I'm homeless, they think that I can't do the job. If they think that I'm not gonna win, I can't wait to hear what they gotta say
Yeah,
when I do what I came here to do.
don't you love that factor? I love the factor of proving somebody wrong. You know, I've had so many experiences where somebody said I couldn't do something. And then there's two types of people in the world, people that believe that and people that use that as fuel.
Yeah.
And say, oh, yeah, you think I couldn't do that? Okay. Next time,
It's
you
the
gonna
I
see.
told you so.
I told you. People don't want to believe in you. That's why you always have to believe in yourself. Believe in what you can do, because I don't know if there's anything in this world that we can't do. Use your imagination, visualize, and execute. Have goals, and always have realistic goals to reach these things that people said you couldn't do.
Yeah.
One step at a time, one breath at a time, because breath gives you life. You got to understand that.
Yeah.
But you got to approach things with a growth mindset and understand that everybody's been in your shoes before. There's been somebody that's been in your shoes that maybe they was going to give up. Maybe they said, I couldn't do this. But you look at the most successful people in the world, the people that we say that made it, I guarantee maybe some of them got spoon-fed and they got what they got because of their circumstances and their environment. But the best testimonies are the people that went through the toughest lessons, right? And they still came up on top.
Yeah.
How did they do that? You know, so when we think life is hard and we can't get what we gonna get, I guarantee there was somebody that was in your same boat that got what you wanted to get. Learn from them.
Yeah.
Read the books. Watch the I tell kids all the time, oh my God, it bothers me. If you ain't gonna learn it from me, and the other coaches in the room, go do your research at home.
Yeah.
Go watch videos. Go, because somebody, once again, they've done what you wanted to do. Learn from them. How do they train? How do they execute?
How do they do it?
You know, how do they do it? And follow their footsteps and then make them your own.
Yeah. Oh man. And you know, it gets crazy out there too.
Anyways, y'all, to kind of wrap things up, you know, just always understand that life is our teacher, right? And I love bringing people on to my podcast just to share their perspective, like Jimmy's genre with the dance and how he's learned and how that transitioned to wrestling and how we had these shared experiences. Like a lot of things that Jimmy went through, maybe necessarily I didn't go through them, but I went through them in some shape, form, or way, you know? And so we learned similar things from different avenues of life.
Right.
And that's huge, that we got to understand that we're all connected, I believe, and we all go through things in a similar way, but we need to evolve. Our kids shouldn't be going through certain things that we went through. And
it's that generational thing. You know?
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
I you know, before I leave on this note, you know, just because you said for our kids, right? Because I'm a father, right? And I remember having a heart-to-heart with my dad, you know, and he told me, you know, I wish I had the confidence to chase my dreams, because, you know, I'm chasing a dream. You know, I wanted to be a dancer, you know, and like earlier I said, you know, when I tell people I'm a dancer, they scratch their head like, how do you make money dancing?
Yeah.
You know, so it's a generational thing where we're told to go out and go get a real job, go get a job, go work, work, do this.
They don't want us to use our creativity to pursue ourselves.
You know, and we're very creative people. Most kids are artists. The first thing kids do when they're born, they start touching things, feeling things.
Scientists.
You know, building things, playing with things. You know, most of the time, little kids put stuff in their mouth is because they're trying to feel what it is.
Yeah.
And they want to know, can I eat it?
Yeah, they're learning about their taste buds.
You know, and when you really start to think about it, when you play music, what do babies do when they hear music? They start to dance.
Yeah, they're using their ears.
They're using their ears. They're watching. And like, you know, what kids see when they see things, you know, they do what they see. You know, there's a reason why kids can speak multiple languages if you teach it to them at a young age. You know, yeah, it might seem a little scattered at first when they're doing it. But once they start to grow and develop it, then they all start to come in and really you start to notice. That's why when I get kids, if I'm teaching kids, I want to teach them at a young age. The youngest, the better. Like I tell parents, hey man, when your kid turns 2, if you want them to become a really good dancer, bring them to me because they don't have the fear.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Um,
They're
and
daredevils.
and the generations before us, due to their circumstances, they only could do what they believed was right. My dad tells me, I had a kid in college, and then I had 2 more kids a few years down the road. I couldn't pursue my dreams. What he told himself, because I felt like I had to provide, I had to survive. He didn't want to risk going after what he loved to provide. He didn't want to put that up as collateral because, when you go after something, it's not guaranteed that you're going to win.
100%.
It's not guaranteed. So going after anything where it's not in the social norm, teaching that to your generations below you, like telling my son, like, people are shocked that my son doesn't dance, right? Because I didn't force that onto him. Whenever music come on, yeah, he's dancing, having fun, but I've never actually really taught my son to dance. When he was younger, like 2 years old, yeah, I had him in there breakdancing with us, practicing and stuff. He could actually do a backflip when he was 4 years old. And there's a funny story. I think I gotta tell the story.
Yeah.
I gotta tell the story.
Speed up, though. We gotta get up out of here.
Yeah, we do gotta get out of here. All right, so look, when my son was about 3 years old, about to be 4, he went to this place called KinderCare. Okay, KinderCare is a daycare center, and if an incident happens, they write incident reports, let the parents know what's going on. I go to this place to go train for breakdancing because it's a tumbling gym. They have soft padded floors. It's perfect place for you to train these moves, practice these moves. And I would bring my son with me because you know what? He's a kid. He loves it because he gets to play basically. So he'd be on the trampolines, jumping, bouncing on trampolines, doing moves, seeing the other breakdancers do moves. So he'd try the move, right? He wanted to be able to backflip because Tim, aka Blackflip, always did backflips like crazy. So, kids see superheroes able to flip, they want to be able to do that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So when you're able to do something, when I tell people, oh yeah, I can do a backflip, anytime I tell kids I can do a backflip, they say, can you do it? We want to see it, right? Because people don't believe you until they see it.
Yeah, they have to experience something to really believe it's true.
Right? So my son learned how to do a backflip at the tumbling gym. He learned how to do one, right? But it wasn't a developed backflip to where, hey, he should be doing it on a regular ground. He can do it on a trampoline. He could even do it on the springboard floor, right? And if you can do it on the springboard floor, most likely you can do it on a regular ground. But he didn't have the development from learning the backflip to be able to do it on cue. So before we leave, I know the kind of kid my son is, right? He's a cocky little kid. He's confident. When he knows he can do something, he'll execute. He'll do it. He's confident. He won't be afraid to try it, And it's really cool about him because he doesn't let anyone tell him he can't do anything at this age, right? As you get older, you start getting in your own head.
Yeah.
And I always have to remind him, hey, don't listen to that. You got this. You're good. But this day, particularly after practice, I'm like in the car with him. He's in his little car seat, excited, happy. Daddy, I can do a backflip. I'm so proud of you, son. We're going to keep practicing that backflip, but I'm so glad you can do a backflip. I'm proud of you. I couldn't do a backflip when I was your age.
Yeah.
Right? But do me a favor. When you get to school tomorrow, don't try and do it at school. I want you to practice it a little bit more before you go and attempt to do something like this. Right? Okay, Daddy, I promise I won't. Because I understand that when my son gets excited about something, when he knows he can do it, he wants to show people.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. When the kid does a nice little drawing, they go to their mommy or their daddy and show them the picture. They're excited about it, you know. And most people, when they get that oh, I did something good, they want to show it to people. And then when they get that praise, they're like, yeah,
that dopamine release.
Right.
Feel good.
So I told him, promise me that you will not do this tomorrow. Okay, Daddy, I promise. I come to pick him up the next day after I dropped him off at school. Right? Little daycare, kinder care. Right? And when I go in there to go sign him out, there's an incident report on there. And I read the incident report. I'm like, it says, Angelo was telling the kids that he could do a backflip. So,
and they was probably like, you can't do no backflip.
Exactly. The kids was like, you can't do a backflip.
Prove
Angelo,
them wrong.
show us you can do a backflip. So Angelo said, guys, back up. I can do one.
Bet.
Angelo tried to do a flip, hit his head.
Oh, man.
We applied ice.
That's all we can do.
Right? I'm like, oh, no. His mom's going to kill me.
Yeah.
Right? So I walk into the little classroom to go pick him up, and I just see him sitting down, kind of like a kid, when they got done crying, they still got the little red in their eyes, a little and then just sitting there. He's icing himself, and I just look at him. He looks at me, and I had a reality like, dang. My dad looked at me like this once. Yeah. I just saw myself, and I was like, oh, my goodness. You tried it, huh? Yeah. And he looked at me like, yeah.
I told you not to do that.
Oh, he didn't listen.
They always do the opposite, don't they?
He didn't listen. But you know what?
He learned.
It was a learning experience for him. He learned, and it was something where he went for something. I didn't bash him and say, oh, I told you not to do that.
Yeah,
I didn't get
not
mad.
The right approach, yeah.
Right? But I wanted him to know, like, hey, this is why I told you not to do it, right? Because I knew that there's a possibility that you could have hurt yourself, and I want you to do dangerous things in a safe environment, because I want you to develop the skill. I don't want you getting hurt out there, because if you get hurt, then people are going to tell you, or you're going to tell yourself, I can't do it.
Yeah, that's facts.
Right? So a lot of things that I teach my son is go for stuff that you want to do. If you want to play baseball, be the best baseball player that you can be. Not that as everyone has seen, but that you can be. Don't set a limitation of, oh, I got to be better than my team, or I got to be better than everyone. No, because we don't know who the greatest is. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you think you're the best, right? But you want to be better than the person you were yesterday, you push yourself to go harder than that person. Yeah. And you'll see a lot more success in what you do and train.
Yeah, facts. So I think what Jimmy's trying to say is just because you got a bump on your head don't mean give up. Keep doing what you got to do to pursue them dreams, and always remember to always strive to be the best version of yourself. Thank you again, Jimmy, for joining me. California. What is your Instagram tag? You got to go follow my man. He doing it.
So my Instagram is Happy Feet JC, all one word. My dancer name is Happy Feet. No relation to the penguin. So, yeah, gotta let him know. Happy Feet JC. I'm sure he'll drop some little tags for y'all.
Yeah, and y'all already know who I am. I'm always out here trying to grind and give my knowledge to you so we can always help the world become a better place. Best version. Go get it.